2004, our business was doing well, and people were coming to us telling us that they wanted to start our business where they lived. And so I read the book Franchising for Dummies, and I really did. There was a book called Franchising for Dummies, and met with an attorney, and we franchised the business. And so now we have 111 franchises in 22 states. And so it's been a lot of work, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm very passionate about my business, and I hope that someday that you guys will get to have that feeling too, to own your own business and be doing what you want and have the flexibility and all the work that goes along with it. And I love how you said that. You worked 30 years and 20 years, so that's, I'm going to start saying that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But at least I love it. So, all right.
I have a question for you guys. How many of you are wanting to start a business when you graduate? How many of you guys have already started a business? How many of you guys are operating that business right now? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and like we were saying earlier, there wasn't anything like this. I mean, we could get in a business club, but really to know that you can get out of school and start your own business, that's pretty amazing, and you guys really can. It really does happen all the time. I graduated from the school across the way over here, but I do wear orange when my husband's team, Nebraska, we play you guys. So I do wear orange once in a while. We'll be here at that game this weekend. But I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and I always knew that I was going to grow up and run a business. You kind of have it in you. All of you guys that are here, and you know you want to get into that passion. I remember my grandfather saying that when I was 5 years old, he asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I said I wanted to tell people what to do. So you really know that at a young age what you're going to do when you grow up. So take that passion and keep running with it. When I got out of school, my degree is in construction management. And basically it was kind of a business decision why I got into that. I knew it was a great field to get in. They were paying really well, and I wanted to be in business. And I started out in that, and very quickly I found it's not the same to work for somebody as running your own business as I had seen from my parents growing up. And after I had worked for 2 years in the construction industry, I called my parents and asked them if they'd be interested in training me to take over the family business, which was hide and seek licensed private investigations. So I became a licensed private investigator in 1999, and I bought my first business that year. And while I was starting a family, running my investigation firm, I realized that we needed more flexibility for our family. I had my first son in a daycare, and I decided to run a background screening on his teacher to hire her for our own family, because the statewide screenings they really stink. I mean, they don't really give you any information. Actually, on their website, if you go read it, it says the records might not be found if the fingerprints are smudged. I mean, it's that bad. And so I went ahead and ran a background screening on her on my own, and I was shocked at what I found. There were protective orders in her name, eviction notices in her name, and we immediately pulled my son out of school right then, and we started screening sitters for our own family. Like Shannon said, you kind of find your own business and your own needs, your own family, and your own problems in your own life. And so we started screening people for our family. When we went on travels to other big metropolitan areas, we discovered there's the same problem everywhere. We couldn't find an on-demand babysitter that had been screened. And so in 2004, on a 7-hour drive home from Austin, Texas, my husband and I literally, like you see in the movies or read in the stories, we wrote out the business plan, wrote it on a notepad paper, and we got home and we set up the website that night. We founded Seeking Sitters in 2004. We knew we wanted it to be a national company. So as far as starting our business, we made sure that we set it up at the very beginning how we wanted to grow long term. We didn't know how we were going to get there, but we knew we wanted to grow long term. And through a lot of research and investigating how to grow our business, we decided franchising was our path to grow our business. And we have 53 franchises to date. We are nationwide. Shannon, speaking of surrounding yourself with great business people, Shannon's a great business partner of mine, and we meet on a monthly basis and strategize on different franchising problems that we're going through. We speak the same language, and And so you guys have that same passion. You guys that already own your own business back there, I mean, get together with your business friends. These groups are awesome for you, and keep that momentum going forward. So
I want you to speak to about the Tulsa Chamber, about the Spirit Award. Adrian's very, very involved in the Tulsa Chamber and has won numerous awards and stuff, and you get to be a judge.
Well, actually, the Spirit Award is through a TCC this year.
Okay.
In Tulsa. And it's through Spirit Bank. Have you guys heard of the Tulsa Spirit Award? If you have a unique business idea, the businesses that you're already operating, I would encourage you to apply for them. I know there's a lot of different business awards that you can look into, but this is one that is an amazing competition. You get free help, free advice. It forces you to kind of put a business plan together. I've been in business for 7 years on my own. I'm running the investigation firm and then running a franchise system. And I put a business plan together and turned it in and went through this competition and sat down with the judges, and the judges were like, this is a great story, but this is not a business plan. I mean, so I learned that, how to put a business plan together. I know you guys are doing it in classes, but it's a great competition. Check into it at the Tulsa Spirit Award. It'd be great for you guys that already have businesses to you get it's a $30,000 prize, and they actually match it with I2E funds, so it's a $60,000 prize.
I want to ask each of you, what unique challenges or experiences did you have starting your own business as a woman? Was there any challenges or problems that you had to face?
I think for me in my situation, because my husband and I started it, I think it just happens by nature. There are certain questions they would look directly at Gary, like the banker or the attorney, to answer, and then there were certain questions that he would look at me. Mine was, well, how are you going to, what's the ambiance going to be? How are you going to staff it? And then for Gary, it was, okay, what's your 3-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? So we really worked together to make sure that I would answer some of the finance questions and he would answer some of the ambiance, because I think it's just that, they just made the automatic assumption that, well, it's a husband and wife team, so Gary's going to know this information, I'll know this information. So I think that's, we made it clear up front that it was a partnership, so I the answer to the finance questions.
Girls actually do
Right?
that.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like this day and age, I mean, you really, as a woman, you've got just as many advantages. And I think if you go in with an attitude that you are getting treated differently, it's almost in your self-improvement. Yeah, I graduated and was my first job thrown onto a job site with a bunch of 60-year-old men. I mean, it was not the most ideal place for a 23-year-old woman to be, but I was like blinders on about it, just go do it, get the job done, and it was their best job ever, under budget and at the time. And so I think you gotta have to put those blinders on and just jump out there. But Pat may speak to the differences of what it's been like to.
I would say that when I started management alternatives in 1983, I think there was probably in the Washington metropolitan area there may have been 5 women-owned businesses, and so it was different. The good news was that the region was very hospitable to me and to the other women who own businesses. I did have an instance with a banker because my husband introduced me to the banker because his trade association used him. And, I had the check that we were depositing, which was my check, my checking account, my name, the check, and they asked him who was going to sign the check, and he said, you really need to talk to her. And, the questions just came that way. And this was a young teller who was working in the senior vice president position, and I saw him turning grayer and grayer. And the young man finally left, and I said, if that ever happens again, I'll put every cent out of this bank. And he apologized and said, I'm really very sorry. And I said, you know what? That's not okay. And I would have to say today that probably wouldn't happen quite so much as it did in 1983. And I will have to say this, for me and for network building, basically I relied on men to help me build my business and 2 or 3 women because that's all there were. And I also would have to say that for some of the women who were in business, they were not as helpful to other women business owners because it was much, much tougher to to be successful at that time. And so they were sort of guarding their own, area. I think that is really very different today. And I think that there's a great opportunity. In fact, I think being a woman-owned business has great advantages. At least there are funding opportunities. We were a federal contractor, and major corporations have to have set-asides for women-owned and minority-owned businesses. And you may get the first contract because you're a woman-owned or minority-owned business, but you don't get the following ones unless you deliver. And the federal government was a huge portion of our business. And so I think there are great advantages, and the world has definitely changed since 1983.
And I would like to speak to the challenges, and one of my challenges is having children. And if you are trying to start a business, or if you're going to be a doctor, or you're going to be in any field where you're away from your family a lot, that's something to consider. And so I think it's a challenge for all of my franchise owners that have young children, is trying to determine when to work and when to be a parent. And that's not just for women, that's going to be for men too. But it's a little bit more accepted that men do go off to work and not be home. When all of our franchise owners, as well as the corporate office, we have virtual offices, and you can do that in this day and age. You can work from home, and we do. And we don't have anyone that goes to an actual office, so we all work from our homes. And I had to have a conversation with my husband a few years back, because he got home early one day, and he's yelling up the stairs. My office is upstairs. I'm home, and he wants me to respond to him. And I'm on the phone with New York Times.
Right.
And I don't want them to know that I'm at home. And he is continuing to yell, I'm home!